What up? What up? What up? What up? What up, people? What up? It's me, L Teddy 27, Hangry Teacher Chronicles. Y'all know where we at. Y'all know what day it is. It's Sunday, and I'm gonna try to make sure this gets up early enough in enough time. I know we have early games this week. We got the Carolina, um, Carolina Panthers, Tampa Bay Bucks game. I believe over in London this morning, which is going to start at around 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. No, Jesus. 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. So we're going to try to have this up early. It's a little dark out. That's how early it is. And I'm getting this video done. So yeah, that's what we're doing this week, y'all. I want to make sure I help y'all out. Make sure we get. Last week, y'all, was not a good week for us. We've been doing pretty good the last few weeks. Last week, oh, this collar doesn't even feel right. God, let me do this over. Anyway, y'all, I'm so anal. I can't even see it, but it just didn't feel right, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta look right. Anyway, last week, the first few weeks, we've been doing really good. I've been really helping y'all out, and I've been following the players that I had picked. Now, some of our players last week did get off, like we said, but some of them, a few of them, some of them just did not do what we wanted them to do. And yeah, like, oh God. Remember how 2 weeks ago I gave y'all Will Disley? Not Will Disley, because Will Disley did good. I gave y'all Will Fuller. That's the Will I'm looking for. And he didn't do nothing. And then last week he goes off. I know y'all. I was just as mad about it as y'all were. But anyway, I don't even know how my tie looks right now because I can't see. Because this light is blinding me in my eyes. But hopefully I don't look too ragged today. All right, y'all. So let's get right down to it and get some of these picks out the way. So this is week 6, y'all. Week 6. Six. All right. So let's start with quarterbacks, okay? Our first quarterback this week is going to be Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has not really impressed this season thus far, but he's playing against the lowly New York Jets. And the Jets, Jets. Come on now. He's going to be able to do whatever he wants to do. He's going to get off early and often. So this is a safe week to go with Dak Prescott. You heard it here first. Take Dak Prescott. I mean, you did. I'm not saying you heard it here first. I mean, you probably heard it somewhere else. But this is a good week. We all know it's between the Washington Redskins, the Miami Dolphins, and the New York Jets to decide which team is trying to tank the worst. All right, so go Dak Prescott. Good week for him. Then we have Matt Ryan in Atlanta. And I'm sorry, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys will be at New Jersey. Not New Jersey. Well, it is in New Jersey, but at the New York Jets. Okay. Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons will be at Arizona. While Kyler Murray is doing great as a rookie quarterback, his defense out there in Arizona, not so much. Okay. So if you notice, everybody out in who goes and plays Atlanta, not Atlanta, Lord, who plays Arizona, they get all those quarterbacks do well. So Matt Ryan, who's a good quarterback, will do quite well today. Go with Matt Ryan. He will give you some quality points today. And our sleeper quarterback this week is going to be Gardner Minshew of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are going to be at home versus New Orleans. New Orleans has a dynamic offense, but that defense, they have one of the worst secondaries out there in the league. Receivers are getting off. Quarterbacks are having damn near career days on there. versus the vaunted New Orleans defense. So pick, if you can, go get Gardner Minshew of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's our sleeper for this week. If you need a bye week, a player to add for the bye week, okay? A bye week edition. So let's go with our tight end. Our tight end for this week is going to be Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper is the tight end for Atlanta. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Anytime you see a tight end facing the Arizona Cardinals defense, you pick them. I would say even pick the you could even pick up the backup tight end for Atlanta, whose name escapes me right now. Oh, I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, you go with Austin Hooper. He is the tight end for Atlanta. We've already said, if you see a tight end facing the Arizona defense, you go with that tight end, okay? That's without question. So we are going with Austin Hooper. Will Dissly is another tight end pick for this week. The Cleveland Browns defense is laughable. So go ahead. I like Will Dissly for Seattle. They will be at Cleveland, okay? And our sleeper tight end is going to be Gerald Everett of the Los Angeles Rams. My wonderful team in the 49ers. I love my 49ers, but they haven't fared very well against opposing tight ends. So look for Gerald Everett to possibly have a sneaky good week this week for the Los Angeles Rams. He has been every week doing better and better and getting more integrated into that offense. So he's my sleeper tight end. He plays for the Rams, and they will be at home versus San Francisco. For our running backs, I like Chris Carson again for Seattle. They will be at Cleveland. Chris Carson, expect him to get off. And like I said, the middle of the field for the Cleveland Browns is just a gaping hole. Just a gaping hole. I could insert a whole lot of jokes there, but I would choose not to. But anyway, I like Chris Carson versus, and he's going to be at the Cleveland Browns this week. Expect that middle of the field to be open. So that's why we have Will Dissly, the tight end, who's going to get off. I expect Chris Carson to get off. My next running back is going to be Austin. Is it Eckler? I think it's Eckler. Anyway, for the San Diego Chargers, I'm not going to say Los Angeles Chargers. I told y'all I'm not going to say it. While he may have just very average numbers in the rushing game or in the run game on the ground, he has become a force out there in for the Chargers in the passing game. So what happens is you get the advantage of having his rushing stats or his stats on the ground in addition to his stats in the passing game, because he's become much more a part of the passing game. And they're playing against Pittsburgh, and they will be at home versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh does not fare well against running backs who are great receivers. Running backs who are a part of the passing game, Pittsburgh doesn't do well against them. Okay? So look for Austin Eckler to do well against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He will be at home versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then we have Adrian Peterson of the Washington Redskins against the Miami Dolphins. They'll be at Miami. This is another no-brainer. Any offensive weapon that is going up against the Miami Dolphins, you pick them early, you pick them often. Adrian Peterson stands to have one of those old Adrian Peterson games from 10 years ago when Adrian Peterson was a every week must start in fantasy football. Remember those days 10 years ago when Adrian Peterson used to get off? He often went as the number one draft pick in most fantasy leagues. Those were good years, man. Good years. Our sleeper running back this week is going to be Chase Edmonds of the Arizona Cardinals, and he's going to be home against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Duke Johnson is, I think, slated to be out this game. And even if by some sheer chance he gets in, I think they will limit his time. So with that being said, look for Chase Edmonds to be a sleeper this week against the Atlanta Falcons. Their defense, their front seven doesn't, I mean, their front seven doesn't scare anyone, okay? So look for Chase Edmonds to play. I think he will get the start this week. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he'll get the start this week. And look for him to do quite well versus the Atlanta Falcons. And that's Chase Edmonds of the Arizona Cardinals. He'll be at home versus the Falcons. Now, for our receivers, I actually have 4 receivers this week for you to start and 1 sleeper, okay? For our receivers, I'm going with DJ Chark of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He has been a quiet assassin for the fantasy football leagues out there as a receiver in Jacksonville. The Jaguars have used him quite often. Many people thought Dede Westbrook would be the go-to receiver out there, and it's not. It's DJ Chark. So DJ Chark is the go-to wide receiver out there in Jacksonville. They're going up against, they will be at home versus the New Orleans Saints, and the New Orleans Saints secondary gives up a boatload of points to opposing receivers. So look for DJ Chark to do well. This next pick, y'all, I'm hoping, we're crossing our fingers, we're hoping this week we can catch a lightning in a bottle. I don't think it'll be as good as last week, but I do think he'll do well again this week. I keep wanting to pick him, and every time I pick him, he disappoints us. But I'm going to say Will Fuller again this week. Go with Will Fuller. I feel safe about Will Fuller. Will Fuller of the Houston Texans. He will be at Kansas City. You all know Kansas City does not do well in the their defense is awful against the pass. I told y'all every week what ends up happening is their defense will fare well that first half. The second half will come, and about midway through the third quarter, the bottom falls out, and it just becomes a track meet. And they're gonna be at Kansas City, but look for Will Fuller to have a great game. Not saying he'll do as well as he did last week, where you were so mad if you did not pick him last week. But look for him, I think, to do well again this week. Against or at Kansas City. Chris Godwin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is one of my picks this week. They will be in London, so it's an away game to me for both teams. It's an away game, okay? So look for Chris Godwin to do well. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be playing the Carolina Panthers there in London this week. And I like Terry McLaurin. I didn't want to leave Terry McLaurin off because the Redskins are playing against the Miami Dolphins. And I definitely did not want to leave off a Redskins receiver knowing that they're playing the Miami Dolphins, who are, who can beat a Pop Warner team at the rate that they're going, okay? Anyway, or as we say in Miami, we don't say Pop Warner, we say Optimus football team. Anyway, my sleeper pick this week is going to be Preston Williams of the Miami Dolphins, who is playing at home versus the Washington Redskins. Y'all know that game. Neither one of the defenses are going to do anything. I like Preston Williams as a sleeper because he's become the go-to receiver, as much as there is a go-to receiver in Miami, because there really isn't one. I mean, but whatever. Look for Preston Williams to be your sleeper pick this week to give you some quality fantasy points. And those are all our picks this week. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for my favorite part of the week, which is El Teddy 27's fantasies. And our fantasy this week, the first one is going to be Corey Cole, and y'all know how we do. I always say put their name in. You might want to put NFL, put their name, and then put shirtless. Just do a nice Google search. Both of these guys, excuse me. Sometimes I do pick guys who are not that easy on the eyes, but their body is everything. Both of these guys are easy on the eyes, in addition to nice bodies, okay? So our first one is going to be Corey Coleman of the New York Giants. He's a wide receiver. And this week we got he's, middle of the spectrum, nice Snicker bar to He's not quite that dark Snicker bar. I think a Payday. Think a Payday. Yeah, Payday. That skin tone complexion. You know, the candy bar Payday. That skin tone complexion, kind of a nougat almost. So not almost like in between the Payday and Snickers. Snickers is a little darker. Payday is a little lighter. So somewhere in between those two. Great, great looking guy. New York Giants wide receiver. Then we have Darren Waller, who is a tight end of Oakland. He's been one of our picks in weeks past. He's such a beautiful smile. He looks so good. He has a nice body. He's a tight end out there for the Oakland Raiders. You can go ahead and do a Google image search for both of them and get your life this morning. Have a good day. I hope. I'm confident this week that our picks will do well for you. You'll make you some money if you're doing the daily fantasy leagues. You will get you a good win if you are doing the traditional fantasy football leagues. And I tried to pick players this week that were going to be good for both non-PPR and PPR. So our picks this week should do well for you for PPR and non-PPR leagues for our fantasy, because I know I've neglected our PPR league fantasy football players. So I wanted to do that this week. All right. That's all we got for you this week. We will be back next week for week 7. Y'all know how we do. I'm up out of here. Peace. I'll see y'all next week.